roll after a Rick and Morty episode because Crunchyroll not only has the new stuff, but also must-see anime classics like Cowboy Bebop. Written, animated, if you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop and are even remotely interested in anime as an art form, it is culturally imperative that you watch that series now. Even if you don't like anime, it's an incredibly compelling story that you're gonna want to watch from beginning to end. The bottom line is there's tons of content to cover the time after Rick and Morty ends, and the day after, and the week after, and the month when they decide to take a random mid-season break. What even is that, by the way? Why do you need so many breaks? You don't see film series stopping for a mid-season break. Ah, YouTube, you're unforgiving. Click the link in the description and fill the void in your entertainment calendar. Crunchy.
Alright, YouTube. The moment of fandom has been waiting. Just relax and let the music take you. Huh? Huh? You two feeling it? Look, I'm sorry to say, but if you can't fuse to this, then you're the problem. This played out much better in my fanfiction. So when I did my 10 things I want to see in Steven Universe Future video, I asked you guys to tell me what you wanted to see as well. And by far the most popular request, aside from Stretch Heartstrong making a comeback, was a major Paradox appearance, or more specifically, a lapidot. Now I've been extremely transparent with a lot of my opinions in these videos. My favorite episodes, my favorite characters, popular and unpopular takes, my love of all things Pumpkin Pearl and Paradox, but one thing I rarely ever bring up is my opinion on certain ships. Some of the more typical ones like Steven and Connie or Ruby and Sapphire are really cute and really easy to get behind because they come with lots of canon material to back them up. Some of the more obscure ones like Pearl and Volleyball or Steven and Spinel are definitely unique when you see what the fandom can cook up with them. And then you have Lapidot, which is, well... yeah, these two are absolutely precious in every way. They started on bad terms for understandable reasons, but eventually learned to enjoy each other's company and became the absolute closest of friends. Raising a farm, taking care of a pumpkin puppy, building meat warps, watching sappy camp dramas, and just building a new life together. Ironically, on the very same planet they were trying to escape from and destroy at one point. Any episode with them together is either relentlessly adorable or emotionally gripping. And I bought my cruise ticket for this ship extremely early on. But as far as a Lapidot fusion is concerned, while part of me would be 100% floored to see such a development, another part of me thinks it might be a little too late for something like that. Not only with Future's huge emphasis on Steven's problem specifically, but because of a massive, massive missed opportunity within the original series, which I'm definitely going to talk about. Either way, the doors of possibilities are still wide open, so a potential Lapidot moment might still be in the cards. And as usual, I've been having some thoughts on what kind of story would be ideal for these two, and what exactly would occur. Where would they go? What would they do? Would they make something entirely new? Already before I lose all of you. Let's discuss Lapidot, or maybe not. Let's start at the beginning by looking at the Lapidot relationship in its entirety. And similar to my volleyball video, there will be probably some touchy subject matter like Lapis' past abuse, so just a fair warning. Lapis' story begins with her getting trapped on Earth during the Gem War and pooping from a bismuth blow to the back. This leads to her getting captured, sealed away in a computer and interrogated for information. But thanks to Steven's kind actions and some literal spit and polish, she was able to spread her wings and fly right back to home. Only to be captured, sealed away in a confined space, and interrogated for information a second time. I guess you could say this was a mirror of past events? That was a terrible joke, and I feel terrible for making the people in the corner now because of a bad one. I'm so sorry. Anyway, it's after Lapis' second capture that we get her first true interactions with Paradox. And let's just say they got off to a rocky She was being mean, and honestly a little hard to watch at times. But at the same time, you gotta take context into account here. 6,000 years trapped in a mirror by Homeworld, getting cracked by retreating enemies, getting kidnapped by Homeworld again and used as an informant, getting kidnapped a third time after the ship crashes, and finally trapping Jasper under the ocean for months. Now put yourself in Lapis's shoes. Or lack of shoes. After all your torment and abuse, after constantly feeling trapped no matter where you go, after all of Steven's talk about things being different and are constantly changing and giving you the choice to stay, you find out that your previous captor and interrogator is now your new roommate. You wanted to get a fresh start in a new location.
Who needs thumbs? So I need a light green. It's more of a whitish. Let's go. Is this? Oops. Just gotta fill these in real quick. Sorry for interrogating you. You were just full of useful information. That's a sincere compliment. Oops. Cause I'm a flipping corduroy. In the good night, in the look of the game, when you're rising to shine, when you're hitting the hay, I'll be hanging around. If you like it or not, I'm gonna be right by your side no matter what. Every bend through, bend through. At the end of your road, I'll be holding you. I'll be holding. Be right by you. Be right by your side no matter what. Be right by your side. Be right by your side no matter. No matter what. Be right by your side. Who needs thumbs? Pew! Pew, pew. Amethyst. Oh no, this is trash. This be trash. Well, nope. Oh, I get one. Yep. You are a Nintendo, dear.
Is now your new roommate. You wanted to get a fresh start.
HQ, oh my god.
Her actions are not at all justified, but the origin of her emotions are completely understandable. But by the end of Barn Bates, thanks to some more words of wisdom from Stephen, it's clear that she's willing to give Paradox a chance and even show some concern for her safety.
You okay?
And it's here where a new chapter in both of their lives finally begins. After going through her own little earth,
You're skipping yours, Masha. Let's see. Here's Lapis Lazuli, and here's Pig. Freedom is mine!
can see firsthand that it's possible for old places and even old enemies to turn
Yeah.
While we sadly don't get a lot of screen time between these two, the ways in which they grow together are extremely evident all throughout the series. The first time we see them together after his
Watermelon, Steven, Jamie, Laura, Lords of Scars, Brother Knight, Alexandra, Malachite, Smoky Quartz, Rainbow Quartz, Stevani, Opal, Sorgalite, Circle Defense, Holy Blue Agate, Rutagons, Emerald, Packparasa, who do I want to be? I think that might be Lapis Lazuli. Lapis Lazuli. Lapis Lazuli, sink to the bottom of the sea. Lapis Lazuli. It's a lovely mission. Ask you. I'll be holding you tight. I'm there. Be right by your side. Be right by your side. So I don't matter.
Even in episodes where they don't interact, it's made
I'm gonna be right back.
It's also kind of heartwarming in a way. The framing of the shot makes it clear that Paradox's definition of home is not just a little sector of countryside, but also Lapis. Like it wouldn't feel like home
For me, peace around the place. What's this? Nothing. What do you want? I guess we're already here. I guess we already know. If I got something to fear, feel like I know we could go. I think you're all insane. I guess I am too.
I mean, the setup of the separation of these two reminded me so much of the 4-part Amethyst versus Jasper arc, which went to Smoky Quartz. And the fact that they didn't include such a drastic shift in both characters.
For me, peace on the planet.
Raising the Barn offers us a big window into what the lapidot relationship is like behind the scenes. And this is why
That's what I did here. That's what
While the first interaction with Lucas involved Peridot forcing information out of Lapis by any means necessary, their current relationship shows the exact opposite, where Peridot is actually trying to be as careful as possible with her language and actions in an effort to not hurt Lapis any further. Basically going from borderline verbal torture to padded safe speech. And if you look close in other episodes, you can see small glimpses of this behavior from Peridot, like in Beta, where she tells Amethyst to not use the J word around Lapis. Or in Back to the Moon, where Amethyst's mere mention of playing prisoner compels Peridot to grab Lapis's arm and shoot her a look like, EJ on the isn't her brain. To a certain extent, this is very sweet. Peridot wants to make sure that Lapis is as comfortable as possible, and even sacrifices her own happiness and well-being in order to do so. It's a complete 180 from what their original relationship was like.
Guess
But at the same time, it can also be a double-edged sword. Safety gating Lapis from all forms of change, while well-intentioned, was pretty much guaranteed to fall apart eventually. When you try to keep everything in someone's life super consistent, eventually a huge, unavoidable change will come up. And when it does, it'll be extremely hard for them to cope with. Not to mention that when you lie to someone in an attempt to keep them safe, you also run the risk of them losing their trust in you when they find out the truth. In fact, if you want an extra serving of irony, Peridot trying to isolate Lapis from her ever-changing nature is like spitting in the face of the very thing that allowed them to have their relationship in the first place. Now, am I saying that Lapis would have been 100% fine if Peridot was more willing to let change happen? Absolutely not, and we'll get to that later. But it would have made for a much more stable foundation for their relationship. And Peridot wouldn't have to walk on eggshells 24/7 to ensure Lappy's happiness. And in the end, Peridot endures a cruel twist of fate. After sheltering Lapis from change for so long, she is forced to endure the most painful and heartbreaking change of her life. Lapis taking the bard into space and leaving her behind. Her entire life just ripped right out of the ground and nothing she can do to stop it. A perfect example of how change is inevitable and trying to keep it away is a ruthless. Then we get back to the kindergarten, which pretty much speaks for itself. Peridot is suffering from full-on depression in this episode. Fetal position, down in the dumps, sitting in the bathroom for hours listening to country music level depression. All brought along with the disappearance of her perfect piece of countryside. That speaks more volumes about how much she misses Lapis than I ever could. Also, universe, please never show Peridot this depressed again. My heart is just barely holding together with the power of flex tape. I really don't think I can take another episode like this. In addition, it also shows that in Peridot's effort to keep Lapis content, she's been neglecting her own personal problems. She flat out stresses that she feels a general feeling of hopelessness on a day-to-day basis. But instead of tackling her problems at the source, which they finally end up doing in this episode, she likely devoted most of her time to making sure that Lapis feels alright. Again, a noble and sweet gesture, but very damaging to her own life. And when she finally does take the time to tackle her internal problems, she winds up a lot happier in the end. A lesson that I'm sure she's going to take to heart. So within these two episodes, she learns not to overly shelter the ones you love, and to dedicate time to your own well-being and mental health. But that only covers one half of the parent. What about Lappy? Well, if we go back, we see that she didn't travel too far at all. She settled on the moon, spying on all her friends from afar. I can't decide if that's cute or creepy, so I'm not good. Anyway, I could see some people thinking of Lapis running away again as character regression, but I don't see it like that at all. Despite Steven's assertion that Lapis is now free on Earth, the truth of the matter is that her fear has been keeping her prisoner all this time. And almost every episode starring her has involved her overcoming small pieces of her fear one by one. Overcoming the fear of Earth, which was once a terrifying battleground. Overcoming the fear of her old enemies, which captured and tortured her. Overcoming the fear of ending her own destructive outlet that she adopted after all the pain she received. And she managed to tackle every single one and come out stronger. And now we have the final leg in her journey of overcoming her fear. The root of all the suffering she's endured throughout the series. Homework. It's definitely the biggest hurdle she'll ever have to jump. And honestly, I think the a friend away from change. Even if it's for their safety and well-being, it leads to dishonesty and handicapping. And in the end, she was forced to endure a change so big that it made her spiral into depression. But in the process, learning that it's important to take care of yourself as well as others. Lapis learned that nothing can come from running away from your problems. Thanks to Peridot and Company, she now has something worth staying and fighting for, which she eventually realizes. All the time they spent together, all the pain and loneliness they suffered while apart from one another, the fact that neither of them have had a loving, consensual fusion in their lifetime. The time is right, the cards are in place, so just do it! Just do it! Do a dance with you! We're not letting them resist each other, so just do it! Oops, forgot to put the fanboy switch off again. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, that's why the maybe not is in the title, since the series had a perfect opportunity for a lapidot fusion, but completely missed it. I mostly blame the fact that I think Reunited as an episode is kind of cluttered. Trying to squeeze in a
What?
fighting between Ruby and Sapphire and an epic fight against two of the diamonds in only 22 minutes feels more like an emotional and tonal clash rather than a proper special event. I would have given it an extra 11 minutes at least. Then the emotions could have been more time to play out, and the shift in tone wouldn't have felt so drastic. It also would have given time for Lapis and Peridot's reunion to have a little more breathing room. Their first interaction would go the same as before. Lapis would be kind of nonchalant and laid back, with a simple, hey. But this time when Yellow Diamond shows up, instead of pooping Peridot when she walks up to her, she slaps her away and she flies off into the ocean. Lapis then flies after her in a panic, wanting to make sure she's okay. She sees Peridot's dress floating at the top of the water and realizes that she's sunk to the bottom. She's a little nervous at first since being on the ocean's floor was a big part of her trauma, but after all she's been through, she's able to suck it up and rescue Peridot. Peridot wakes up from her unconscious state to see that Lapis was the one who rescued her. Lapis says, Peridot, are you okay? As a mirror to the first time she showed concern for her. Peridot immediately tries to apologize for all that she did, but Lapis quiets her down, giving her own apology, and the two of them just as a sort of never leave me again gesture. And then they finally fuse for the first time, return to the fight, give it their all, but then they're both eventually pooped together, and the rest of the story goes on. I don't know, maybe a little bit cheesy, but it would bring this little arc to a satisfying ending, instead of just a simple, okay, cool. So yeah, like, no, it didn't play out like that, but it's still possible for Lapis and Peridot to have their first fusion in the future. In fact, if the writers end up going with Steven as the endgame antagonist, like many have predicted, it might open up the chance for some episodes of the series that aren't lashed to the protagonist. If Steven becomes a villain or a threat, it's likely that the other Crystal Gems will have no idea how to handle it. Do they fight him and risk shattering him? Do they try to talk him out of it and risk getting shattered themselves? And to reflect how unsure and unfocused the Gems would be in this situation, the series itself would keep changing the focus to different groups of characters. Not only would that be a breath of fresh air for the series, but it would allow for some more private and meaningful moments with the other main characters, like what was hinted at with Sadie and Lars in Little Graduation. And one of those special moments would be Lapis and Peridot getting some alone time together. When and if Steven transforms, he might not go on a destructive tirade Godzilla style, he might just go off to some remote part of the Earth, since all he wants to do is just be alone. The Gems would be trying to come up with plans to try and track him down and bring him back to normal. Meanwhile, Lapis and Peridot decide to go out to the countryside where the barn used to be. They want to help come up with a solution too, and they agree that they always get their best ideas from their own nature. Peridot starts to freak out a little bit, talking about how Steven was the essential key to many of their victories, and even character moments in the past. Heck, she's been meta before, I can see her doing it again. But Lapis calms her down, saying that it's okay to be scared. This is just another one of Earth's big changes, and they've been able to face far worse things together. So what makes now any different? Peridot is still very worried, so Lapis thinks of something to calm her down. Lapis starts singing a little song and takes Peridot's hand to dance. She leads the way, since she's the only one out of the two of them who's fused at all. They embrace by the end of the song and form their fusion. The fusion gets them to walk around and test its new body. It stumbles around quite a bit since half of it has never done this before, but eventually they get control of themselves and agree to fly off to search for Steven in this new form. Whether or not they're able to find him on their own berries, it would be a nice little twist to the relationship between the series that built up so much. If this 6-page script didn't give it away already, I'd be pretty excited if this kind of thing did happen. show.